My daughter made her husband the CEO of the startup I funded, as if my sacrifices and support were erased from her memory. But I wasn't going to let my contributions be forgotten. I wasn't going to fade into the background while she built her empire. While she celebrated her success, I was plotting my way back into the spotlight, ready to reclaim my rightful place in the company I helped create. I raised her with love and dedication, investing not just money but my heart into her dreams. When I realized my role was being overlooked, it felt like a betrayal I never saw coming. But instead of succumbing to disappointment, I chose to fight for my recognition and the respect I deserved. Before I dive deeper into my story, let me know in the comments how you're feeling today and where you're tuning in from. If this resonates with you, consider subscribing. It gives me the strength to share my truth. Now, let's get into my journey. The launch party was a big day for us. I felt happiness as I watched the guests smile and cheer. My daughter, Lisa, had worked hard for this moment. She poured her heart into her startup. I was proud of her. I had sacrificed a lot to help her get here. I gave money and support. I believed in her dream. As I stood by the snack table, I took a moment to look around. Friends and family filled the room. The laughter and excitement made my heart swell. I remembered the late nights we spent planning and talking about her ideas. I thought about the times I had to say no to things I wanted. I did it all for her. Then, Lisa took the stage. She looked confident and happy. I felt a rush of pride. But that joy quickly faded. As she announced her husband, Mark, as the new CEO, my heart sank. She did not mention my contributions. It felt like a punch to the gut. I felt overlooked. I had given so much, and now I felt like a stranger in her success. The guests cheered for Mark. I forced a smile. I felt anger and sadness. I wanted to shout, "What about me?" But I stayed quiet. I didn't want to ruin her moment. I walked away from the crowd. I needed air. I stepped outside, but the cool breeze did little to calm my feelings. I replayed the night in my mind. Later, I found Lisa in a corner talking to Mark. I took a deep breath and approached them. I wanted to talk to Lisa about how I felt. I believed she needed to understand my side. I said, "Can we speak for a moment?" Lisa looked surprised. She nodded. We moved away from the crowd. I told her I felt hurt. I reminded her of everything I had done to help her. I said, "I deserve recognition for my role in this." She frowned. "Mom, I made the best choice for the company. Mark is the right person for this role." Her words stung. I felt dismissed. I wanted to explain further, but she cut me off. "You need to trust me. This is how it has to be." I felt a wave of frustration. I thought about all the sacrifices I made. It wasn't just money. It was time and energy. I had always supported her. To hear her dismiss my feelings hurt more than I expected. I left the conversation feeling angry and sad. The next day, I sat at my desk. I looked at the papers related to my investment in Lisa's startup. I wanted to see what I had signed. I pulled out the documents. They outlined my contributions clearly. I realized I had a stake in this company. Maybe I had a right to fight for my place. I thought about how to approach this. I needed to protect what I had invested. But I also didn't want to hurt my relationship with Lisa. The idea of fighting with her made me uneasy. I loved my daughter. I didn't want to come between us. But I also wanted what was right. I decided to seek legal advice. I found a lawyer who specialized in business matters. I made an appointment and went to the office. The lawyer listened carefully as I explained the situation. I laid out my investment and my concerns about my role. He nodded. "You have a case here. But be aware. Legal battles can strain family ties." His words hung in the air. I felt torn. I wanted to protect my interests, but I didn't want to lose Lisa. The lawyer suggested ways to proceed. He warned me about the risks. I listened carefully. My heart raced as I thought about what I might need to do. I felt the weight of my choice. I thanked the lawyer and left his office. Days passed. I waited for Lisa to reach out, but she didn't. It was hard to stay silent. I checked my phone often, hoping for a message. Then I heard news that made my stomach drop. Lisa and Mark were pursuing a big partnership without me. I felt the urgency to act. I couldn't let them move forward without my input. I called Lisa. "We need to talk. I know about the partnership." My voice was firm. I wanted her to understand I was serious. "There's nothing to discuss, Mom. Mark and I have it covered," she replied. "But you can't just ignore my role." "I need to be part of this," I insisted. She hesitated. "You don't understand. I am the CEO now. I have to make these decisions." I could feel the tension rising. I was determined. I said, "I deserve a seat at the table for this. I won't stand by and let you make choices without me." The call ended with unresolved feelings. I felt both anger and sadness. I knew I had to push for my place, but I worried about the damage this would cause. As I sat in my living room, I thought about our family. I wanted to support Lisa, but I also wanted my voice heard. I was stuck between love and frustration. I had to find a way to balance both. I decided to take action. I started documenting everything. I wrote down my thoughts and feelings. I wanted to be clear about what I needed. I reached out to a few industry contacts for advice. I wanted to gather all the information I could before I confronted Lisa again. I felt a storm brewing. I was scared but determined. I knew I had to protect my interests. I hoped that, in the end, we could find a way to work together. I wanted to be part of Lisa's success, but I also wanted to be recognized for my role in it. As I prepared for the next steps, I felt a mix of hope and fear. I was ready to fight for my place in this new chapter. I knew it would not be easy, but I was determined to stand up for myself. I could not let my daughter's success overshadow my contributions any longer. The next day, I woke up with a heavy heart. I couldn't shake off the feelings from the launch party. I felt angry and hurt. I had to talk to Lisa again. I needed her to understand my side. I decided to visit her at the office. I hoped that face-to-face, I could make her see my point. As I drove, my mind raced with thoughts. What would I say? How would she react? I felt nervous but knew I had to do this. When I arrived, I saw Lisa busy at her desk. She looked focused and determined. I knocked lightly on her door. She looked up and smiled briefly. But that smile quickly faded when she saw the expression on my face. "Mom, is everything okay?" she asked. I took a deep breath. "No, Lisa. I need to talk to you about the CEO decision. I feel betrayed." Her expression changed. "Mom, not now. I have a lot on my plate," she replied. "I know you're busy, but this is important," I insisted. "I deserve to be heard. I put so much into this startup." She sighed and leaned back in her chair. "I don't understand why you're making this such a big deal. Mark is the best choice for the role." I felt my frustration rising. "But you didn't even mention my contributions. All the support I gave you. It's like it doesn't matter." Lisa crossed her arms. "I appreciate everything you did for me, but this is a business decision. You have to trust me." "Trust you?" I asked, my voice rising. "How can I trust you when you don't include me? This is my investment too." She looked annoyed. "I'm trying to build something here, Mom. I don't need interference." Her words cut deep. I felt tears in my eyes, but I held them back. "I'm not trying to interfere. I want to help. I want to be part of this." Lisa shook her head. "You're being unreasonable. This is my company now. You have to let go." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I felt a mix of anger and sadness. I can't just let go. I took risks for this company. I need you to recognize that. She stood up and raised her voice. I can't keep having this conversation. I need to focus on my work. You're not being fair. I felt crushed. I wanted to reach out and connect with her, but she was shutting me out. I looked at her, hoping for some understanding. Lisa, please. Can't we talk about this like adults? But she turned away. I need you to leave, Mom. I walked out, my heart heavy. I felt defeated. I had hoped for a better conversation, but it only ended in anger. I sat in my car and cried. I felt lost. I drove home, replaying the conversation in my mind. I wondered where we went wrong. I thought about all the sacrifices I made for her. I had always supported her. How could she not see that? When I got home, I sat at my kitchen table. I needed to think clearly. I grabbed a pen and paper. I wrote down my feelings. I wanted to express everything I felt. I wrote about my investment, my support, and my disappointment. I needed to find a way to communicate better. After writing, I decided to call the lawyer again. I needed to know my options. I felt anxious but knew I had to act. I didn't want to fight with Lisa, but I also couldn't ignore my rights. During the call, the lawyer reiterated my options. He said I could pursue legal action, but it might hurt my relationship with Lisa. I felt torn again. I didn't want to hurt her, but I also had to protect myself. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. I thought about the startup and my role in it. I was proud of Lisa, but I felt pushed aside. I knew I had to find a way to balance my feelings with my desire to support her. The next few days were tense. I avoided Lisa's office, not wanting to escalate the situation further. I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I wanted to reach out, but I didn't want to fight again. I felt stuck. Then one evening, I received a message from Lisa. She wanted to meet. My heart raced with a mix of hope and fear. I wondered what she wanted to say. I agreed to meet her at a cafe near her office. When I arrived, I saw her sitting at a table. She looked serious. I took a deep breath and sat down. We both sat in silence for a moment. I could feel the tension in the air. Finally, Lisa spoke. I've been thinking about our last conversation. I realize I may have been too harsh. I felt a glimmer of hope. I appreciate you saying that. I just want us to be on the same page. She nodded. I want that too. But I still believe Mark is the right choice for CEO. I felt my heart sink again. I understand, but I need to be involved. I need to feel valued. I see that, she said softly. But I also need to make decisions for the company. It's a tough balance. I took a deep breath. I know. Let's find a way to work together. I want us to succeed as a team. Lisa looked thoughtful. Maybe we can define our roles better. I want to make sure you feel included. I smiled, feeling a sense of relief. That would mean a lot. I just want to support you and be recognized for my part. We talked for a while longer, discussing how we could move forward. We agreed to set regular meetings to discuss decisions and updates. I felt hopeful. Maybe we could find a way to work together after all. As I left the cafe, I felt lighter. I knew there would be challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them. I wanted to rebuild our relationship and make sure my contributions were recognized. It would take time, but I was hopeful we could find common ground. After my conversation with Lisa, I felt a bit lighter. We had agreed to communicate better. But I couldn't shake off the feeling of uncertainty. I needed to revisit my investment in her startup. I needed to understand my rights and what I had committed to. The next morning, I pulled out the documents related to my investment. I spread them out on the kitchen table. I wanted to look at everything again. I started with the initial agreement. It outlined my financial contributions and the support I had provided. I had put in a significant amount of money. I felt that needed to be recognized. As I read through the papers, I made notes. I highlighted important points. I wanted to ensure I understood every detail. The more I looked, the more I realized how much I had sacrificed. I had believed in Lisa's vision and invested in her dreams. It made me feel proud but also frustrated. I wanted her to see the value of my support. I remembered the late nights I spent helping her with the business plan. I recalled the times I had to cut back on my own expenses to help fund her startup. I had always encouraged her to follow her passion. Now, I felt overlooked. I wanted to remind her of everything I had done. After reviewing the documents, I decided to make a list of my contributions. I wanted to be clear about what I had done for the company. I wrote down not just financial support, but also the time and effort I had dedicated. I wanted to prepare for our next meeting. Later that week, I called Lisa to schedule our next check-in. I wanted to discuss my findings. She agreed to meet at her office. I felt nervous but also hopeful. I wanted to express my feelings without causing another argument. When I arrived at the office, I saw Lisa deep in thought. She looked up and smiled. "Hi, Mom. Ready to talk?" I nodded and pulled out my notes. "I've been reviewing our agreements. I want to share my thoughts." She sat back and listened as I began. "I've compiled a list of my contributions to the startup. It's important for me that we recognize what I've done." Lisa raised an eyebrow but didn't interrupt. I continued, "I invested money, time, and resources. I want us to have a clear understanding of that." Lisa looked thoughtful. "I appreciate you putting this together. But I still believe Mark is the best choice for CEO. I hope we can find a way to work together." I felt a mix of frustration and hope. "I understand that, Lisa. But my contributions matter too. I deserve a say in the direction of the company." "I get that," she replied. "But I need to lead. It's my vision." I took a breath. "And I want to support that vision. But I also want to ensure I have a role in it. It's only fair." Lisa sighed. "I see your point. But it's difficult. I have to make tough decisions." I nodded. "I understand that. But we need to work as a team. I want to be part of the decision-making process." "Okay," she said slowly. "Let's find a way to involve you. I want you to feel included." We talked for a while longer about how we could define our roles. We discussed setting up a framework for regular meetings and updates. I felt hopeful again. We were making progress. After our meeting, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I wanted to ensure my contributions were recognized. I began thinking about how to protect my interests further. I decided it was time to consult with my lawyer again. I needed to know my options if things didn't go as planned. I scheduled another meeting with the lawyer. I explained my conversation with Lisa and my desire to be involved in the business. The lawyer listened carefully and nodded. "It's good that you're communicating with her. But you should also be prepared for what might happen next." "What do you mean?" I asked. "While you work on rebuilding your relationship, think about formalizing your role. It can protect you in the future," he advised. I took his words seriously. I wanted to ensure I had a clear role in the company. It was essential for my peace of mind. I thanked the lawyer and left his office, feeling more determined. In the following days, I focused on my plan. I began drafting a proposal for a formal agreement. I wanted it to outline my role and contributions clearly. I felt empowered as I wrote. I wanted to make sure my voice was heard. When I finished the draft, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I called Lisa again to schedule another meeting. I told her I had a proposal to discuss. She agreed, and we set a date. On the day of our meeting, I felt a mix of excitement and nerves. I arrived at her office with my proposal in hand. Lisa greeted me warmly. I'm looking forward to hearing your ideas. I smiled and handed her the document. I put together a proposal for defining my role in the company. She took a moment to read it. Her expression was serious. I watched her closely, hoping she would see the value of my suggestions. After finishing, she looked up. This is well thought out, Mom. I see where you're coming from. Thank you, I said, feeling relieved. I just want to ensure we are both on the same page. It's important for our relationship and the business. Lisa nodded. I agree. Let's discuss each point. I want to find common ground. As we went through the proposal, I felt optimistic. We talked openly about my contributions and how we could work together. It felt good to finally communicate without fighting. By the end of the meeting, we reached an agreement. We decided on a formal structure for my involvement. I felt proud of what we had accomplished. We were moving in the right direction. As I left the office, I felt a renewed sense of hope. I knew there would be challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them. I wanted to support Lisa and ensure my contributions were recognized. It felt like we were building a stronger foundation for our relationship and the company. I felt a mix of relief and anticipation after our last meeting. Lisa and I had made progress in defining my role in the company. But I knew I needed to ensure that our agreement was solid. I wanted to protect my interests and understand my rights fully. So, I decided to meet with my lawyer again. I scheduled a meeting for the following week. I wanted to bring the proposal we had discussed to him. I wanted to hear his thoughts. I arrived at his office feeling a little anxious but determined. I knew I had to be prepared. When I walked in, the lawyer greeted me warmly. Good to see you again. How can I help you today? I sat down and handed him the proposal. I've been working with my daughter to define my role in her startup. I want to make sure everything is clear and protected. He looked over the document carefully. I watched as he read, feeling a mix of hope and nervousness. After a few minutes, he looked up. This is a good start. You've outlined your contributions and expectations well. Thank you, I said, feeling a sense of pride. But I want to know if there's anything else I should include. I want to protect myself in case things don't go as planned. He nodded. That's wise. It's essential to have clear terms. You should consider adding details about decision-making processes and what happens if there are disagreements. I listened closely. What do you mean by disagreements? He leaned back in his chair. You need to define how you will handle conflicts. If Lisa and Mark make decisions without you, how will you address it? You want to have a plan in place. I felt a knot in my stomach. I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point. I want to ensure I have a way to voice my concerns. Exactly, he said. It's better to have a plan now than to deal with issues later. I took notes as he spoke. I wanted to make sure I understood everything. The lawyer suggested a few clauses to add to my proposal. Each point made sense. I wanted to protect my interests while still supporting Lisa. After our meeting, I felt empowered. I had a better understanding of what I needed to do. I thanked the lawyer and left his office with a clearer vision. I was ready to revise my proposal. Back at home, I sat down with my notes. I began to rewrite the proposal. I included the new points about decision-making and conflict resolution. I felt more confident as I worked. I wanted to ensure that my role was well-defined and respected. Once I finished revising, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I was proud of what I had created. I wanted to present it to Lisa in our next meeting. I hoped she would see the value in the changes. A few days later, I called Lisa to set up another meeting. I told her I had revised our agreement. She seemed interested and agreed to meet the next day. I felt a wave of hope. When I arrived at her office, Lisa looked busy but happy to see me. Hi, Mom. I'm glad you're here. I've been thinking about our last talk. I smiled. I have too. I made some updates to our proposal. I handed her the revised document. She took a moment to look it over. I watched her closely. I hoped she would appreciate the changes. After reading, she looked up. These are good additions. I like how you've outlined the decision-making process. I felt relieved. I wanted to ensure we have a clear path forward. It's important for both of us. Lisa nodded. I agree. I want to make sure you feel valued in this process. We started discussing each point in detail. I explained the changes I made and why they were important. I felt encouraged as Lisa seemed open to the ideas. As we talked, I noticed a shift in our dynamic. We were communicating as partners. I felt like my voice mattered. Lisa asked questions and shared her thoughts. We worked through the proposal together. By the end of the meeting, we had made further adjustments. We agreed on how to handle conflicts and ensure that I had a say in major decisions. I felt a sense of relief wash over me. We were finally on the same page. After our meeting, I left the office feeling hopeful. I knew there would still be challenges, but I felt more prepared. I wanted to support Lisa, but I also wanted to protect myself. I felt we were building a stronger partnership. In the following weeks, we continued to work together. We held regular meetings to discuss the business and our roles. I felt more involved than ever. But I also knew I had to remain vigilant. One afternoon, as I was reviewing some company documents at home, I received an unexpected call from Mark. I felt a mix of anxiety and curiosity. "Hi, Mom. Can we talk?" he asked. I hesitated but agreed. "Sure, what's on your mind?" "I've been thinking about the new partnership we're pursuing. I want to discuss your role in it," he said. My heart raced. "Okay, what do you want to talk about?" "I know you've been working with Lisa on defining your role. But I want to make sure you understand how this partnership will affect things," he explained. I felt uneasy. I'm aware of my role, but I want to be involved in the discussions. I need to be part of the decision-making. "I understand that," Mark replied. "But you need to trust us to handle things. This is a big opportunity for the company." I took a deep breath. I want the company to succeed. But I can't just sit back and watch. I need to know what's happening. He paused. "How about we set up a meeting with Lisa and me? We can discuss it together." I felt a small sense of relief. That sounds fair. I want to be included in the conversation. We arranged a meeting for the following week. As I hung up, I felt a mix of hope and anxiety. I knew this was a crucial moment. I wanted to ensure my voice was heard in this new chapter. I felt more determined than ever to protect my interests and support Lisa. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that I had a plan in place. I hoped that with continued communication, we could build a successful partnership in both business and family. The day of the meeting with Mark and Lisa arrived. I felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. I wanted to be included in the discussions about the new partnership, but I was also nervous about how it would play out. I hoped we could communicate openly and find common ground. I arrived at the office early. I took a moment to collect my thoughts. I wanted to be clear about my expectations. I wanted to ensure my voice was heard during the meeting. When Lisa and Mark walked in, I greeted them with a smile. "Thanks for meeting with me," I said. "Of course, Mom," Lisa replied. "We're glad you're here." Mark nodded. "Let's dive in. We want to discuss the partnership and how you fit into it." I felt my heart race. I wanted to make sure I was included in the decision-making process. "I appreciate that. I want to understand the details of the partnership and my role in it." Mark pulled out a folder and began explaining the partnership. He spoke about the potential benefits and how it could help the company grow. I listened carefully, taking notes. I wanted to grasp the entire situation. As he talked, I felt a mix of excitement and concern. This partnership could be a great opportunity, but I needed to be involved. I raised my hand. Can I ask questions as we go along? Sure, Mark said. Feel free. I took a deep breath. What specific role will I have in this partnership? How will decisions be made? Mark paused. We're still working out the details. But I want you to trust that we'll keep you informed. I felt uneasy. I appreciate that, but I need to know that my input matters. I can't just sit back and let you two handle everything. Lisa jumped in. Mom, we want you to be part of this. We'll make sure you have a voice. I felt a little better, but I needed more assurance. Can we agree on regular updates and meetings to discuss how things are going? I want to be involved in the process. Mark nodded. That sounds reasonable. We can set up weekly check-ins to keep you in the loop. I smiled, feeling relieved. Thank you. That would help me feel more secure in this partnership. As the meeting continued, we discussed various aspects of the partnership. I shared my ideas and concerns, and I felt encouraged when Lisa and Mark listened. We talked about how we could work together to make the most of this opportunity. I felt a growing sense of teamwork. We were beginning to communicate openly and honestly. I realized that this new partnership could be beneficial for all of us if we worked together. After the meeting, I felt a sense of accomplishment. We had laid the groundwork for a successful partnership. I walked out of the office feeling hopeful. I knew there would still be challenges ahead, but I felt more confident about my role. In the following weeks, we had regular check-ins. I appreciated the updates and the chance to share my thoughts. I felt more involved in the decision-making process. It was a relief to know that my voice mattered. But then, one day, I received an unexpected email. It was from a potential partner who wanted to discuss collaborating with our company. I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. I knew this could be a great opportunity, but I also worried about how it would affect our existing plans. I decided to bring it up during our next check-in. I wanted to ensure that Lisa and Mark were aware of this new development. As we sat down for our meeting, I shared the email with them. I received a message from a potential partner, I said. They want to discuss collaborating with us. Lisa looked intrigued. That sounds interesting. What do they offer? I explained the details of the email. Mark listened closely, nodding. This could be a great opportunity for us. But we need to think carefully about how it fits into our current plans. I nodded. I agree. We need to consider how this partnership aligns with our goals. I want to ensure that we're making the right decisions. Lisa added, let's set up a meeting with them to learn more. We can then discuss how it fits with our current partnership. I felt relieved. That sounds good. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. We agreed to contact the potential partner and set up a meeting. I felt a sense of excitement as we moved forward. This could be a chance to expand our business. In the days leading up to the meeting, I prepared. I researched the potential partner and wrote down questions I wanted to ask. I wanted to ensure that I was ready to contribute. I felt empowered knowing that I was part of this process. When the day of the meeting arrived, I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. We gathered in the conference room, ready to meet with the potential partner. As we waited for them to arrive, I glanced at Lisa and Mark. I felt grateful for their support. When the potential partner walked in, I introduced myself. I'm excited to learn more about your proposal. They presented their ideas, outlining how a collaboration could benefit both companies. I listened carefully, taking notes and asking questions. I wanted to understand their vision and how it aligned with ours. As the meeting progressed, I felt more confident. I contributed my thoughts and ideas, and I could see that Lisa and Mark appreciated my input. I felt like an equal partner in the conversation. After the meeting, we all shared our thoughts. I felt optimistic about the possibilities ahead. I think this could be a great opportunity for us, I said. Mark nodded. I agree. Let's explore this further. Lisa added, we need to discuss how this fits with our current plans. I want to make sure we're all aligned. I felt a sense of pride. We were working together as a team. I knew that by communicating openly, we could build a successful partnership. As I left the office that day, I felt hopeful about the future. I knew there would still be challenges, but I felt ready to face them. I was excited about the new opportunities ahead and grateful for the chance to be involved. Together, we could create something meaningful and lasting. After our meeting with the potential partner, I felt a surge of excitement. I believed this could be a great opportunity for our company. However, I also felt a familiar worry creeping in. I wanted to ensure that I was still included in decision-making, especially as we moved forward with this new collaboration. In the days that followed, I noticed some changes in the office. Lisa and Mark seemed consumed by the potential partnership. They spent long hours discussing plans and strategies. I was happy they were enthusiastic, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being left out. I decided to address it during our next check-in. When the day of the meeting arrived, I walked into the conference room feeling nervous but determined. Lisa and Mark were already seated, reviewing some documents. I took a deep breath and sat down. "Thanks for meeting with me today," I said. "Of course, Mom," Lisa replied, looking up from her papers. "We have a lot to discuss about the partnership." I nodded. "I want to make sure I'm included in these discussions. I feel like I haven't had a chance to contribute lately." Mark glanced at me, then at Lisa. "We've been busy, but you're right. We need to make sure you're part of this process." I felt a wave of relief. "I appreciate that. I want to share my thoughts on how we can approach the partnership." Lisa sighed. "I understand. But we need to move quickly. This opportunity won't wait for us." "I know that," I said, trying to keep my tone calm. "But if we rush, we might miss important details. I want to ensure we're making the right decisions together." Mark nodded thoughtfully. "That makes sense. Let's set aside some time to discuss our strategy and your role in it." I felt encouraged. "Thank you. I think it's essential to align our goals first." We spent the next hour discussing our approach to the partnership. I offered my ideas about how we could leverage our strengths. I felt more engaged as we talked through the details. I was relieved when both Lisa and Mark listened to my suggestions and included them in their plans. However, as I looked at their faces, I sensed some tension building. I could tell that Lisa was feeling the pressure of making quick decisions. I wanted to address it before it escalated. "Lisa," I said gently, "I can see that you're feeling overwhelmed. This is a big decision for the company." She nodded, rubbing her temples. "I just worry that if we don't act fast, we'll lose this chance." I wanted to reassure her. "We can act decisively while still making sure everyone is on board. We can balance speed with careful consideration." Mark chimed in, "We should set clear roles for each of us in this process. That way, we can move quickly but also have support." Lisa took a deep breath. "You're both right. I don't want to make decisions alone. I want us to work as a team." I felt a sense of unity in the room. "Let's define our roles moving forward. That way, we can each take ownership while supporting one another." We spent the rest of the meeting outlining our individual responsibilities. I felt more confident as we established a plan to keep everyone informed. I knew it was essential for all of us to feel included. After our meeting, I walked out of the office feeling positive. I knew we still had challenges ahead, but I felt hopeful about our ability to work together. I was committed to supporting Lisa while also ensuring my voice was heard. In the following weeks, we continued our discussions about the partnership. I noticed that Lisa seemed more relaxed as she navigated her responsibilities. I felt proud of how we had worked together to create a supportive environment. However, one afternoon, I received a phone call that changed everything. It was from a business associate who had valuable insights about the potential partner. I listened closely as they explained some concerns they had regarding their reputation and past dealings. "This could impact your decision," they said. "I suggest you proceed with caution." I felt a knot form in my stomach. I knew I had to bring this information to Lisa and Mark. I immediately scheduled a meeting for the next day. I wanted to make sure we addressed this before moving forward. When the meeting day arrived, I felt anxious. I wanted to ensure that Lisa and Mark understood the importance of this information. As we gathered in the conference room, I took a deep breath. Thank you for meeting with me again. I have something important to discuss. Lisa looked concerned. What is it? I explained the details of the phone call and the concerns about the potential partner. I think we need to rethink our approach. We can't ignore these red flags. Mark frowned. Are you sure about this? We've invested a lot of time in discussions with them. I am sure, I replied firmly. We need to protect our company. It's better to address this now than to regret it later. Lisa nodded. You're right. We can't rush into this partnership without doing our due diligence. I felt a sense of relief when I saw her agreement. Let's research more about their background and reputation. We need to be cautious. We spent the next hour discussing the potential risks and how to proceed. I felt empowered knowing that we were making decisions together and taking the necessary steps to protect the company. After the meeting, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I knew that navigating these challenges wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to face them with Lisa and Mark by my side. We were building something together, and I was committed to ensuring that my voice was valued in every decision we made. As I left the office that day, I felt hopeful about our future. I knew we would face obstacles, but I was confident that by working together, we could overcome anything. I was excited about the journey ahead and eager to see where our partnership would lead us. After our last meeting, I felt a sense of urgency. We had discussed the potential partnership, and I knew it was time to take action. I wanted to ensure we made the right decision for the company. I felt it was essential to have a clear plan moving forward. I called Lisa and Mark to schedule a board meeting. I knew we needed to involve the other board members in the discussions. Their insights would be valuable as we navigated this new opportunity. When I sent the meeting invite, I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. On the day of the board meeting, I arrived early. I wanted to be prepared. I reviewed my notes and gathered any materials I thought would be helpful. I wanted to make sure we presented ourselves well. When Lisa and Mark arrived, they looked focused. I could tell they were ready to tackle the partnership discussions head-on. We greeted each other, and I could see the determination in their eyes. As the other board members filed into the room, I felt the energy shift. I was ready to share our plans and gather input. Once everyone was seated, I took a deep breath and opened the meeting. Thank you all for coming, I began. We're here to discuss a potential partnership that could benefit our company. We want to ensure that everyone is on the same page as we move forward. I could see some heads nodding. I felt encouraged. I continued, we've been in discussions with a potential partner, but we've also heard some concerns about their reputation. We want to address these issues before making any decisions. I looked around the room and noticed a few worried faces. I wanted to make sure everyone felt comfortable voicing their opinions. I encourage all of you to share your thoughts. This is a crucial moment for our company. The first board member spoke up. What specific concerns do we have about this partnership? I shared the details of the phone call I received about the potential partner. I explained why we needed to proceed with caution. I could see the board members engaged, asking questions and sharing their thoughts. Mark added, we need to assess the risks involved. It's essential to make an informed decision. A few board members chimed in with their opinions. Some were excited about the potential growth, while others echoed my concerns. I felt grateful for the open dialogue. We were working together as a team. As we discussed the partnership, I noticed Lisa becoming more anxious. I wanted to support her. I leaned over and whispered, it's okay. We're all in this together. She nodded but still looked worried. I knew this was a big decision for her. I wanted her to feel confident in our approach. After a thorough discussion, we decided to take a step back. We agreed to conduct more research on the potential partner. We wanted to ensure we had all the information before making a final decision. As the meeting wrapped up, I felt a sense of relief. We had come together as a team, and I was proud of how we handled the discussion. I could see Lisa relaxing a little. After the meeting, I approached her. "How do you feel about everything?" "I feel better," she admitted. "I was worried about rushing into this. I appreciate everyone's input." "I'm glad to hear that," I said. "We'll make the right decision together." Mark joined us. "I think we're on the right track. Let's take our time and do this properly." With that, we left the boardroom feeling united. We had a plan, and we were ready to move forward cautiously. In the following days, we gathered more information about the potential partner. We researched their background, looking for any red flags. I felt empowered as I contributed to the research. I was determined to protect our company. During our next check-in, I shared my findings with Lisa and Mark. "I think we need to consider how their past dealings reflect on us. We have to be careful." Lisa nodded. "I agree. We can't ignore the potential impact on our reputation." Mark added, "Let's prepare a list of questions for them. We need to address these concerns directly." I felt a wave of relief that we were all on the same page. We worked together to create a list of questions for the potential partner. I felt encouraged as we planned our approach. The day of the follow-up meeting with the potential partner arrived. I felt nervous but ready. I wanted to ensure we addressed our concerns openly. As we sat in the conference room, I took a moment to gather my thoughts. When the potential partner arrived, I greeted them with a smile. "Thank you for coming back to meet with us. We have some questions we'd like to discuss." They nodded, looking confident. "Of course. We're happy to answer your questions." As we went through our list, I felt a mix of determination and anxiety. I wanted to make sure we got the answers we needed. I asked about their past dealings and how they handled any issues that arose. Their responses were vague, and I could sense the tension in the room. I exchanged glances with Lisa and Mark, who seemed to share my concerns. I pressed further, wanting to ensure we were making an informed decision. After a long discussion, I could sense that the potential partner was becoming defensive. I knew we had to be cautious. As the meeting wrapped up, I looked at Lisa and Mark. I felt a weight on my shoulders. Once the potential partner left, I turned to Lisa. "How do you feel about what we heard?" "I'm not sure," she said slowly. "I still have doubts about them." Mark nodded. "I think we need to take a step back. We can't move forward without feeling confident." I felt relieved that we were all aligned. We decided to take more time to evaluate the potential partnership. I knew that we were making the right choice by being cautious. As I left the office that day, I felt a sense of accomplishment. We had navigated a challenging situation as a team. I was proud of how we communicated openly and addressed our concerns together. I knew the road ahead would still have its challenges, but I felt ready to face them. We were building something meaningful, and I was excited to see where our journey would take us. After our meeting with the potential partner, I felt a mix of relief and uncertainty. We had decided to take our time and evaluate the partnership carefully. But I could sense that the pressure was building for Lisa and Mark. They were eager to make progress, and I worried about how that might affect our working relationship. In the following days, I noticed Lisa was increasingly anxious. She spent long hours at the office, often working late into the night. I could see the stress on her face. I wanted to support her, but I also wanted to ensure she didn't rush into any decisions. I decided to reach out and check in with her. One afternoon, I stopped by her office. She looked up, surprised to see me. "Hey, Mom. What's up?" "Just wanted to see how you're doing," I said gently. "I know things have been busy." Lisa sighed and leaned back in her chair. "I feel overwhelmed. There's so much pressure to get this partnership moving, and I worry we'll miss our chance." I nodded, understanding her concerns. "I get it. But we need to make sure we're making the right decision. It's important for the company. I know, she replied, rubbing her forehead. But I just feel like I have to prove myself. I don't want to let anyone down. Lisa, you're doing great, I said, trying to reassure her. You've built this company from the ground up. It's okay to take your time. We're in this together. She looked at me, her expression softening. Thanks, Mom. I appreciate your support. I knew we needed to find a way to ease her stress. I suggested, how about we hold a team-building workshop? It could help us all reconnect and strengthen our collaboration. Lisa brightened at the idea. That could be a good way to lift everyone's spirits. I'll talk to Mark about it. We discussed potential dates and activities. I felt a sense of purpose as we planned the workshop. I wanted to create an environment where everyone could feel heard and valued. A week later, we held the workshop. I felt a rush of excitement as the team gathered in the conference room. I had planned several activities designed to encourage open communication and teamwork. I hoped it would help relieve some of the tension in the office. As everyone arrived, I welcomed them and explained the purpose of the workshop. We're here to strengthen our collaboration and support each other as we move forward. The team seemed receptive, and I felt a wave of hope. We started with some icebreakers to lighten the mood. I watched as laughter filled the room. It felt good to see everyone connecting. After the icebreakers, we moved on to group discussions. I encouraged everyone to share their thoughts on the partnership and any concerns they had. I wanted to create a safe space for open dialogue. As the discussions unfolded, I noticed Lisa seemed more relaxed. She contributed her ideas and listened to the feedback from the team. I felt proud of her growth as a leader. During one of the sessions, a team member spoke up. I think we need to ensure we're all aligned on our goals for this partnership. We need to communicate clearly. I nodded in agreement. That's a great point. Clear communication is vital for our success. As the workshop continued, I could see the team bonding. They shared stories, ideas, and even some laughter. I felt a sense of pride in what we had created together. By the end of the day, I felt a renewed sense of energy in the room. Lisa stood up to speak. Thank you all for participating today. I appreciate your honesty and support. We have a strong team, and I'm excited about what we can achieve together. I could see the relief on her face. The pressure seemed to lift, even if just for a moment. I felt grateful that we had taken the time to connect as a team. As the workshop wrapped up, I approached Lisa. How do you feel? Much better, she replied, smiling. I think we needed this. It reminded me that we're all in this together. I nodded, feeling proud of her. We're building something meaningful, and we need to support each other along the way. In the following weeks, I noticed a positive shift in the office. The team seemed more connected and focused. Lisa and Mark were more open to feedback, and I felt like my voice was being heard. However, I also sensed that the pressure was still there. Lisa was eager to finalize the partnership, and I worried that she might rush into it again. I knew I had to stay vigilant. One day, I received news that the potential partner wanted to meet again. I felt a knot in my stomach. I knew we needed to address our concerns directly. I called a meeting with Lisa and Mark to discuss our strategy. As we gathered in the conference room, I could see the tension in Lisa's eyes. We need to be prepared for this meeting, I said. We have to ensure they address our concerns. Mark nodded. We should set clear expectations for what we want to know from them. I agreed. Let's make a list of questions and points we want to cover. We need to be assertive. We spent the next hour preparing for the meeting. I felt a sense of determination as we strategized. We were all on the same page, and I felt confident in our approach. The day of the meeting with the potential partner arrived. I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. I wanted to ensure we addressed our concerns openly. As the potential partner entered the room, I greeted them warmly. Thank you for coming back. We have some questions we'd like to discuss. As we moved through our list, I focused on the importance of transparency. I wanted to ensure we were making an informed decision. I could see Lisa and Mark supporting me as we pressed for the answers we needed. After a lengthy discussion, I could sense a shift in the dynamics. We were standing our ground, and I felt a sense of pride in how we worked together as a team. When the meeting concluded, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. We had addressed our concerns and held our ground. I looked at Lisa and Mark, who shared my sense of accomplishment. As I left the office that day, I felt hopeful about our future. We had navigated challenges as a team, and I knew we were building something strong together. I was excited to see where our journey would lead us next. After our meeting with the potential partner, I felt a sense of accomplishment. We had stood our ground and addressed our concerns. But I also sensed that the pressure was still mounting, especially for Lisa. I could see that she was eager to finalize the partnership, and it worried me. A few days later, I received a call from Lisa. She wanted to meet to discuss the partnership further. I could hear the urgency in her voice. "Can we talk about the next steps?" "I want to move forward," she said. I agreed to meet at her office. As I drove there, I felt a knot in my stomach. I wanted to support her, but I also wanted to ensure we were making the right decision. I worried that she might be rushing into things again. When I arrived, Lisa was already seated at her desk, looking anxious. "Thanks for coming, Mom," she said, rubbing her temples. "I've been thinking about the partnership, and I want to finalize it soon." "Lisa, I understand your urgency, but we need to be careful. We haven't fully addressed all our concerns yet," I replied gently. She sighed. "I know, but this opportunity might not last. I feel like I need to prove that I can lead this company." I could see the pressure she was under. "You are doing great, Lisa. But it's important to take the time to make the right decision. We can't let the pressure rush us into something we might regret." She looked at me, and I could see the conflict in her eyes. "I just don't want to let anyone down. I feel like this is my chance to show everyone what I can do." "Everyone believes in you, Lisa. But rushing into a partnership could hurt the company. Let's take a step back and assess our options," I suggested. She took a deep breath, looking conflicted. "What do you think I should do?" "Let's set some clear goals for this partnership. We need to define what we want to achieve and what our boundaries are," I said. "If we can present a united front, it will help you lead with confidence." Lisa nodded slowly. "That makes sense. I just wish it didn't feel so overwhelming." I reached out and touched her arm. "We're in this together. Let's take the time we need to ensure we're making the right choice." With that, we began to outline our goals for the partnership. We wrote down what we wanted to achieve and what concerns we still had. I could see Lisa relaxing as we worked together. It felt good to be on the same page. After we finished, Lisa looked at me with a newfound determination. "Thank you, Mom. I needed this conversation. I think I was getting too caught up in the pressure." "I'll always be here to support you," I said, smiling. "You have the skills to lead this company, but it's okay to take your time. We'll figure this out together." As we wrapped up our meeting, I felt a sense of relief. We had laid the groundwork for a more thoughtful approach to the partnership. I knew that by setting clear goals, we could navigate this process more confidently. In the following days, Lisa and I continued to refine our strategy. We discussed our goals and what we wanted to communicate with the potential partner. I felt encouraged by her progress and commitment to the process. However, I still sensed some tension between Lisa and Mark. They seemed to have different opinions on how to approach the partnership. I wanted to address this before it became a bigger issue. One afternoon, I invited both of them to meet. "I think we need to discuss our strategy as a team. It's essential that we're all aligned," I said. They both nodded, and we gathered in the conference room. I could feel the tension in the air. "I want us to work together effectively. We need to make sure our goals for the partnership are clear," I began. Mark spoke up first. "I believe we should move forward quickly. This opportunity is too good to pass up." Lisa frowned. But we have concerns that we need to address first. I don't want to rush into anything without knowing we're making the right choice. I felt the tension rising. I understand both of your points. But we need to find a balance. We can't let the pressure force us into a decision that we're not comfortable with. Mark looked frustrated. I just think we're missing out on a chance. We need to act before someone else takes it. I stepped in. Let's take a moment to define what we need from this partnership. What are the deal breakers for each of you? We spent the next hour discussing our priorities. I could see Lisa and Mark beginning to understand each other's perspectives. They started to communicate more openly about their concerns and expectations. Finally, we reached a consensus on our priorities. We agreed to present our goals as a united front during the next meeting with the potential partner. I felt a sense of relief wash over me. After our meeting, I approached Lisa. How do you feel about everything now? I feel much better, she admitted. I think we're finally on the same page. Thank you for helping us communicate. I smiled. That's what teamwork is all about. We're stronger together. As we prepared for the next meeting, I felt a renewed sense of hope. We were working through our differences and coming together as a team. I knew there would still be challenges ahead, but I felt confident that we could face them together. The day of the meeting with the potential partner arrived once again. I felt the familiar mix of nerves and excitement. As we gathered in the conference room, I looked at Lisa and Mark. They seemed ready and focused. When the potential partner arrived, I greeted them warmly. Thank you for coming back to meet with us again. We've had some time to reflect on our goals. As we moved through the agenda, I felt a sense of determination. We were united, and I was proud of how we had worked together to get to this point. By the end of the meeting, I felt optimistic. We had addressed our concerns with clarity and confidence. I looked at Lisa and Mark, who shared my sense of accomplishment. As I left the office that day, I felt hopeful about our future. We had navigated challenges as a team, and I knew we were building something strong together. I was excited to see where our journey would lead us next. After our meeting with the potential partner, I felt a mix of relief and excitement. We had communicated our goals clearly, and the partner seemed receptive to our concerns. However, I knew the journey was far from over. There was still much to discuss and decide as we moved forward. In the days that followed, I noticed a change in the office. Lisa and Mark seemed more aligned. They were working together closely, and I could see that the pressure had lessened. I felt proud of how far we had come as a team. One afternoon, I decided it was time for another check-in with Lisa. I wanted to see how she felt about everything. I walked into her office, where she was busy reviewing documents. Hey, Lisa, I said with a smile. How are you feeling about the partnership now? She looked up and smiled back. I feel good, Mom. I think we're making progress. I appreciate how we've worked together to communicate our goals. I'm glad to hear that, I replied. I think it's essential that we continue to support each other as we move forward. She nodded. I agree. I've realized how important it is to have you both in my corner. I don't want to make decisions alone. I felt a warmth in my heart. You don't have to. We're a team, and we'll face any challenges together. As we talked, I realized how much our relationship had grown. We were communicating openly, and I felt a deeper bond with Lisa. I wanted to ensure we continued to strengthen our partnership. A few days later, we scheduled another meeting with the potential partner. I wanted to ensure we were all prepared. I gathered Lisa and Mark to discuss our strategy once again. Let's go over our goals and ensure we're aligned before the meeting, I suggested. Lisa opened her notebook. I think we should focus on our priorities and make sure we get clear answers to our questions. Mark agreed. Yes, and let's also discuss what we're willing to compromise on. We spent the next hour discussing our approach. I felt a sense of unity as we worked together to prepare. We were all committed to making this partnership work, but we also knew we had to protect our interests. The day of the meeting arrived, and I could feel the energy in the room. We were ready to present our united front. As the potential partner walked in, I greeted them warmly. "Thank you for meeting with us again. We're excited to discuss our partnership further," I said. As the meeting progressed, I could see that Lisa and Mark were confident. They communicated our goals clearly, and I felt proud of how we presented ourselves as a team. We addressed our concerns and ensured that our priorities were clear. After a lengthy discussion, the potential partner responded positively. They seemed open to our suggestions and willing to work with us. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. We were making progress. As the meeting wrapped up, I could see Lisa's face light up. "Thank you for your willingness to address our concerns. We're excited about the potential for collaboration," she said. After the partner left, I turned to Lisa and Mark. "That went well. I'm proud of how we handled everything." "I feel good about it," Lisa replied. "I think we're finally on the right track." Mark added, "We've built a solid foundation for this partnership. I believe we're making the right choice." I felt a sense of pride swell within me. We had navigated challenges together and come out stronger. I knew that our collaboration would benefit the company and our relationship. In the following weeks, we continued to work on finalizing the partnership. I could see the excitement in Lisa's eyes as we moved closer to making it official. However, I also sensed some lingering worries. One afternoon, I approached Lisa again. "How are you feeling about everything? I want to make sure you're not feeling overwhelmed." She sighed and looked thoughtful. "I'm excited, but I also worry about the responsibilities that come with this partnership. What if I can't meet everyone's expectations?" I took her hands in mine. "Lisa, remember that you don't have to do this alone. We're all here to support you. You have the skills to lead, and we believe in you." She smiled softly. "Thank you, Mom. I appreciate your support. It means a lot to me." As we continued to finalize the partnership, I felt a sense of hope for the future. We had built a strong foundation for our collaboration, and I knew that we could achieve great things together. Eventually, the day came for us to officially sign the partnership agreement. I felt a mix of excitement and nerves as we gathered in the conference room to finalize everything. As we signed the documents, I felt a sense of accomplishment wash over me. "Congratulations, everyone," I said, looking at Lisa and Mark. "We've built something meaningful together. I'm proud of us." Lisa beamed. "Thank you for your support, Mom. I couldn't have done it without you." Mark added, "This is just the beginning. I believe we're going to achieve great things." As we left the conference room, I felt a sense of pride in our achievements. We had navigated challenges together, and I was excited to see where our journey would lead us next. In the weeks that followed, I watched as our partnership began to flourish. Lisa took on her role with confidence, and I could see her growth as a leader. We were building something special, both in business and as a family. As I reflected on our journey, I felt grateful for the support and collaboration we had developed. We had faced challenges, but we had emerged stronger. I knew that whatever lay ahead, we would face it together, united as a team. I was excited about the future and the possibilities that awaited us.